And to go skiing was I went up with my brother Andy, and he took me up there one day, and I had to look, and I saw this Austrian guy called Hans Kuval teaching beginners. So we were sort of standing over the fence looking in, like a couple of rogues, and I looked at it and I thought, fancy that. And later on, my brother actually started with a school because of Boyd Anderson. Really designed the whole idea of the slope was that to get the kids that were at the sort of less privileged schools to go skiing. Andy started skiing, and he became Edinburgh schoolboy champion. So I kind of thought, I must try the skiing, So Andy actually took me up there, and I went up, and I started on there was a little nursery slope on the right hand side, and the slope only went to the middle. Yeah. So anyway, I started in a snow ploughed down, and I thought, this is great, and I had a great time, And about sort of a week later, I went up to the middle, and I thought it was getting on great, and off I went, snow ploughed all the way down, and then it was a time for my mum and dad to come up. They used to bring sandwiches and sit at the side, But this was a big day because they'd never seen me ski. And actually what happened was they used to have skis called Harrier, the old metal skis, And anyway, I started off, got to the middle, and of course you're going to show off to your mum and dad, and I shot down like 100 miles an hour. And there was no point, I never thought about the actual stopping part of it, And I basically fell, and I actually slid into a concrete block on my back. So that knocked me out in my first run. And 2 seconds later, Andy comes down, falls over, and does his thumb in. So our first day to show my mum and dad was spent in the infirmary with Andy with a thumb like that, and me complaining about my back. And we really enjoyed it. And I used to leave school. School was great. My headmaster, Mr. Forsyth, let me go every day on a Monday for the Monday training I started, just to speed the story up, and it was great, So I used to leave about 2:30, and I'd run home, and then basically run along up to Frogston Road and start hitching, and I would hitch along, and I'd get a lift, and then run and get there for the training. And those days you used to have punch cards. And here's a bit of a secret. I never got mine punched very much, My dad couldn't really afford it, and that's where really I really got the bug. Within about 3-4 months, I was getting better and better and better, and then we started racing. And I think I went on to snow, and I went to a guy called Jimmy Russell of a Scottish ski club that had a van, and he used to collect me and take me up there. And there was this one particular day when I got to Glen Shee, and it was called the Falkirk Bairns Cup. And I thought, well, I looked at the slope and oh my God, I hardly skied on snow, but I didn't think I'd do that well because all the guys were really bigger than me. And so anyway, my turn came, and I raced down, and I think I was 7 seconds ahead of everybody. And of course, because I was only 11, I won more prizes than you can think of. There was tickets for Glen Shee and all sorts of things, because I did all the different grades, And then, of course, Jimmy who was up there skiing, Jimmy was away, and he came back, and there's me smiling with a huge big cup, all the tickets in the world, and prizes. And apparently Jimmy said I fell asleep in the van all the way back to Edinburgh, hugging my cup, taking it back to my mum and dad, Other stories at Hillend, just going back a bit, is I wanted a pair of ski boots, and I wanted a good pair. I didn't want to go out every week and have to change the ski boots, so they finally got a new batch of ski boots in, and they gave me a pair, and they said, well, before you go skiing, you've got to polish all the boots. So every time I got to Hillend, I had to get about 50 pairs of boots out in black polish, and try and polish, because I'm dying to go skiing. I didn't want to polish boots, So anyway, they gave up after about a week because everybody was complaining there was too much polish everywhere, on the clips and everything. So I got out of it. So
The developments of hillend, we had the middle, and then we extended all the way to the top. And one of the things we started developing was the ski jump, which was just it was like a pallet with a piece of Dendix on it, and we used to bring that over and jump. About halfway down from the middle was one of the places, and then on the corner, we used to jump the corner. Yeah, it was great, and I loved, Boyd Anderson used to come up in his roller with a guest that visited him from some place around the world, and he'd always, I'd be there, and he'd send me up to the top on a chairlift, and he would, I would do a demonstration basically. I'd just bomb down as fast as I could and ski and just show them what he was trying to achieve, was try and get kids like myself off the streets, into something different, not football, with colour gas lights, no floodlights. It was colour gas, so you had to have those on the slope. And of course, we would ski until it was basically, we didn't want to leave at 9 o'clock, and it was great. Floodlight skiing was great, and also the racing at night was great fun, and that was a great development when we put the floodlights in, because obviously people working during the day, it gives them a chance to go and get a lesson, What a great place, to be able to go and learn to ski before you go on a holiday, It's fantastic, you could get the basics done. Even if it's just a stage of walking, you're getting used to, moving, and it's such a difference. And the minute you hit snow, it's easier. So that's what's fantastic about Dendix, You can take someone up and in a day they're actually skiing, which is fabulous, And I do love what I see now. I see the trees all grown up and everything. Remember when I was there was nothing, we planted trees to stop the wind with chairlift. And I had lots of jobs at Hillend. I was a chairlift attendant for a while, sitting in the box, But I used to get so bored sitting there. I used to, when nobody was there, I'd be hanging on the chairlift. And one of the things we used to do was hang on the chairlift from the bottom, and you go as far as you can and then jump down. And it was the starting box at that time there. But if your dare was to get as far to the pylon as possible, and a couple of times I held on too long and I ended up going all the way to the middle station, and then dropping into the net, and they were furious with me, And then Hans let me go up to the Scottish Championships, and I think my first, the Falkirk Cup, so the Bairns Bucket, that was the one. You had to win the Bairns Bucket, and if you didn't win the Bairns Bucket, you were nobody. And Alan Stewart at the time had won it just ahead of me that year, and so it wasn't until the next year I actually won the Bairns Bucket. But unfortunately, there's a guy called Duncan Riley who also got the same time as me, so we had to share the bucket. Now you can imagine two 12-year-olds arguing about who's getting the bucket first. But Wilma Riley, his mum was great. She says, well look, you've got to go back to Edinburgh, you have it for 6 months, and then Duncan can have it for 6 months. So that's one of the big achievements in skiing. The snowboarders are taking over, which is great, to see that. I always thought, you see, when we were young, we used to do the skateboarding, and I always thought if kids could skateboard more in Edinburgh or Scotland or wherever, you would get more skiers, because it's, and of course snowboarding, look at it now, it's so popular for the kids, and I love it. I can't do it. I tried it in Val d'Isère, and I spent a day. Rossignol supplied me with everything, skis all the time and whatever, and clothing, and they said, I'll try that snowboarding. So I tried it for a day. After the day I sort of gave up, because I nearly killed about 4 people, nearly killed myself, kept knocking into children and everything, and couldn't get up, I'll leave it to the youngsters, Hillend was great. I used to train, I used to run up there, and I'd run up Kirketton and Allimure, and run all over the back of the Pentlands, and it was a great place because it was very steep and you could, you know, do all sorts of things. You know, I used to when I joined the ski team, the British ski team, and I left school at 16 with 3 qualifications. So the idea is make sure you get a bit more than that in the future, because you've got to think of your future when you go skiing, not just
1971?
Oh my God. Yeah, Neil's just showed me a picture of me in, when was this?
71.
71.
British Schools Championships in Hillend.
Yeah.
And it's the British Championships, not the schools one. Snow on the ground.
Snow on the ground.
I'll edit that one in.
Yeah. So we had lots of races at Hillend, and I think one of the major ones when I was a youngster was actually, it was 1968, and the British Olympic team were there, and it was Gina Hawthorne, Davina Glitzer, and all Jeremy Palmer Tompkinson and everything. So I was quite impressed to race against them. I actually peed myself at the start, which wasn't very tricky, down my trousers, but never mind. I actually got down, and you know, I can't remember where I came, but I did okay, you know. But after that, I really was getting serious. You know, I really started to work on it, and it was 100% skiing, 120%. So we used to have great fun at Hillend. We used to team. There was a great friend, Patsy Field. Alan Baxter's actually a cousin, isn't it? Is it
Auntie.
Auntie
Right.
Patsy. So Patsy and I were very lucky because I think it was at the Scottish Junior Championships, and I can't remember if I won it or whatever, but the Scottish Council thought, well, what are we going to do with this guy? You know, his parents are not wealthy enough to support him, because skiing is expensive, as you well know. So there was a wonderful man called Mike Kenneth who supported me from the age of 12 right up until I really finished my skiing career. And without him, it wouldn't have been possible. Couldn't continue. So anyway, from Hillend, I made it into the ski team. And there was Peter Fuchs, who unfortunately died in a car crash. There was Willie Bailey, again, who died in an avalanche in Verbier on New Year's Day, 2 years after Peter had died. And there was Konrad Bertelski, and Alan Stewart, and myself. So we started training at Carbridge at Struan House, just to upset Hans Kuval, because I used to live at Hans's place all the time. Every weekend, Hans would take me up the A9 in a Mini Cooper, you know, and so every weekend I went up to the Cairngorms in Avonmore, which I loved, and it was great for me, you know. And Hans was great for me because he really, really supported me all my life, really. So a great thanks to Hans, you know. One of the great success, I think, was really my first British Championships. Ken Reid was actually racing in it then as well, and Ian Finlayson and various other characters. And I was the first. I won it when I was 16, which is pretty young. I wasn't the youngest because there was a guy called Julian Vasey who won it at 16, but I basically won because it was in Flaine in France, and I won basically the championships. And the great thing was they had some great prizes, but I had so many cups because I was not a member of the British ski team. I was only the S-bars, and my age. So I won every department that you could get. So I came back with lots and lots of cups, and all my dad could say was, "Oh my God, I've got to engrave them again." Actually, there's a story. Actually, I'm not quite sure, but my dad made a mistake, and he engraved one of the cups and for the British Championships, and put me on the next year ahead, and my name's on it. I'm not quite sure if it's illegal if I won it or not, but it was ahead, you know. So I think we maybe got a special deal. If we did 2 in advance, it'd be easier, you know. You know, because of Hillend, I actually made the Olympics, and I was actually probably the first skier in the world to come from an artificial background, from learning on a plastic ski slope. And I raced in the 1976 Olympics when the Kaiser, Franz Klammer, won his most famous downhill race, really, because of the way he skied it and the way it's absolutely incredible, you know. And the other thing, one of the funny stories was there was, sadly John Hines, who was the manager then, died a while back now, and greatly missed. He was a great guy from Glasgow and lived in Edinburgh. But I remember one day when there was, I think it was the director of education. It could have been John Cook, but and then there was the manager, and then there was John Hines, and they were doing something really official in the gorse bushes, surveying something, and they were just standing there, and suddenly they heard this roar of an engine, because Franz Klammer used to go motocross ride in the summer, and I clicked onto it. I thought, I've got to do it. If France does it, I'll do it, you know. So I got myself a Suzuki 250 with no exhaust on it, so it was really, really loud. So I set off, and I was, nobody knew I was there, but well, they could hear me. But all they could hear was this roar coming up, and I came flying up the hill and jumped and landed, and then suddenly I saw the officials. They were, uh-oh, and they just looked at me, and I continued on. I didn't stop. I thought, better get out of here quick. So I think the conversation was, we better have a word with him. We can't have this here, you know. If he does it, they'll all be wanting to do it. So I think I was barred from doing it anymore, you know. Aspen, hillend to Aspen, with the rich, the rock stars, and there was a race called the 24 Hours of Aspen, and I filmed it for television. And I met Martina, and a friend out there. She said, "Oh, why don't you stay over?" So I stayed over, and I went skiing with Martina. It was the morning. I said, "I haven't got a lift pass." She said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll give you a pass." So I get this chain on my, like a medal, a hillend medal, you know. So anyway, I went to the lift, and said, "Oh, where's your pass, sir?" And I said, "Oh, hang on a minute, here it is." "Good morning, sir." I said, "Oh, well, I know the Americans can be a little over the top, but he was quite sort of like standing like attention." So anyway, I get in the gondola with Martina and my friends, and I said, "Who's Rob Walton?" They said, "He owns a little store called Walmart." So that was the past of Rob Walton, the owner of Walmart. So it's amazing how, and the kind of people you meet all over the world, you know. Again, I was filming skiing, you know. And I actually enjoyed it, because I used to make a lot of money out of filming the crashes. And one in particular crashed when I started doing Ski Sunday. I did about 100 Ski Sundays. So there's something about, if it hadn't been for hillend, I wouldn't have got into skiing, I wouldn't have got into filming. And I did everything in filming, from doing the Ski Sunday and Olympics, and rock and roll with Queen, and I joined the Formula One with Bernie Eccleston, did filming around the world. So it gave me an opportunity to go all around the world with a camera, but really it links all the way back to because I was a skier and the flag. The last place I skied is actually hillend, you know. I've kind of missed out because of all my travelling around the world. I spent most of the winters, the last 12 in the Caribbean painting. I paint now. An artist. Some people call me other things, but I won't listen to them. But we have had a lot of characters. We've had a lot of history there, and it is interesting for the people coming up. That not so much the mums and dads that are no skiing, to see what the hell it was all about. You know,
absolutely.
And